Hello, my name is Brant Frias. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Central Pacific Bank, and I wanted to welcome you to another installment of Community Chat, where we talk to interesting people and personalities in the community. Today we're fortunate to have three very esteemed members of the business community here who also happen to be former board members of Central Pacific Financial: Colbert Matsumoto, John Dean, and Duane Kurisu. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me today. I'm wondering, what you hope to accomplish as a board member when you joined, and maybe that'd be the first general question for all of you to answer. What did you hope to accomplish when you joined the board of CPB, Colbert?
Well, I joined the board when CPB merged with Citibank back in 2004, and at the time, the two banks were actually real important in servicing the small business community, as well as the local community in general. But I was interested in making sure that that tradition of servicing the small business community would continue. And I'm real pleased that over the course of my tenure on the board, I think that it's stayed true to that.
John, how about you?
Well, I came a different route, as many of you know, which was the bank was struggling. It was in, I think, 2010, and I was asked to go in and join the bank and see if we could recapitalize it and return it to profitability. Yeah. And with that came the board position.
Nice.
I came onto the bank similar fashion as Colbert, and my reason for serving on a bank board was that it's in alignment with the way I see my reason for existing. It's really about community and community service.
But staying with you, CPB is not the largest bank in Hawaii. We have some strong local and national competition, including fintechs today. Against that backdrop, what do you see as our greatest opportunity and our greatest challenge going forward?
I think our greatest opportunity is our people and the culture of this bank. And the greatest challenge is that, keeping this culture. And just as important, I think, being a keeper of the culture of this community.
Colbert, the company's changed during the time that you've served on the board. Increased focus on compliance, ESG, diversity. How did you see us handling those things?
Well, I think the bank has done a really good job of it, because I think the bank came from a background of basically having to try to better serve the diverse population that represents Hawaii. So, I think that, its roots stemmed from serving the underserved segment of our community. So I think they've stayed true to it. And so complying with those kinds of standards that have now been elevated by Wall Street, this has been something that institutions like Central Pacific Bank have followed from the very origin.
Yeah.
So it's nothing new.
Thanks for that. John, we've embraced the digital age with a rebrand and an overhaul of our mobile and online systems, and work continues on our digital account opening platforms. How important do you see this digital revolution for banks today, but also the relationship aspect of the business, the balance between digital and relationship banking?
Well, the future's digital. The world's changing, especially in the financial services industry. One of the big challenges that CPB faces, I see, but I'd say for all the banks in the state, is how do you compete against much larger players in the country today? And so how do you leverage technology where we probably spend in a year, the major banks, the four major banks spend in a day? Somehow service has to be critical. Honestly, I'm not sure how you, when it's all digitized, add that level of service, but I think it's critical to not just our CPB's existence for another 20 years, I'd say for all the banks in this state.
I think that what's good about community banks like Central Pacific is that we do focus on the people aspect, the interpersonal relationship. And I think that that's a distinguishing quality that will help sustain the company going forward.
Yeah.
And in a small community like Hawaii, that really counts with the customer base.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that the bank not,
Lose that.
get too caught up in the latest technological gadgets at the expense of the very personal relationship that people feel. With respect to the day-to-day transactions, I mean, you got to be efficient about it, right? Banks, are important when people need loans, when people have large transactions, and at that point, they want to go to deal with somebody that they can trust. And so I think that that's kind of like the niche that, this bank can kind of carve out for itself. And if you maintain a reputation of being a good player in the community, people will come to you because they know that you're trustworthy.
Well, I think that maybe to summarize, there could be cases or times when, if you're not sure about something, like what kind of insurance should I buy? You could go to any website and buy insurance for your family, life insurance, whatever you want. But is that the best insurance for you and your family, right? If you need a mortgage for your home, there's a lot of ways to get that online, but which kind of mortgage program is best depending on your situation. It could be that there's still a role there for some personal interaction and intervention. So, okay. John, with you, you had a 35-year history in financial services going back to when you joined the board. Lots of different banks you were with, First Interstate Bank of Oklahoma, Silicon Valley Bank. So you had a mix of financial services, financial acumen, including entrepreneurship. So you probably had the right balance or blend of experiences when you came to CPB. So what motivated you to help us? Because I think you said earlier, we weren't in great shape. And what did you think was necessary to help the bank move forward?
The bank was, Duane and Colbert, I'll tell you, the bank was hemorrhaging losses. And so I think part of it was, and I think Duane, I hate to give him credit, said it very well earlier, and Colbert, I'm sure, is the same way, as giving back. No, I'm serious this time. But you're going to get something else in a minute, so get ready. That's not. But in terms of culture and, what's the purpose in life? That sounds maybe too philosophical. But making a difference, making the world a little bit better place. I think there was ego in it for me, in the sense of, was I capable of doing it one more time? It was my fifth bank. But the bank was a mess, in the sense of a few people, that's all it took, misleading not just the board, but the entire team here on something that wasn't possible, and that caused close to what's over $500 million in losses, and almost took the bank down. So fortunately, wonderful people at CPB, an incredible client base, some challenging directors. So just, maybe it doesn't matter for that, but I had to interview. And so who do you think interviewed me together? On my right and left, right? Oh boy. And Duane was so, and Colbert, he was, what's the word, Bushido? I said, what did I do? I mean, I didn't ask for this job. But then he did relax and warm up.
Yeah.
About 3 years later.
Was the job harder than you thought it was going to be?
It was definitely the toughest thing, and but a wonderful, and it was done by locals. I brought 2 people with me. One who went on to be CEO after I was there, Catherine now. So it was local people.
Great lady, yeah.
Great lady, but a great team already in place that really helped turn this bank around.
Yeah. Just one more quick question about community service, John. When you got here, you joined the UH Foundation Board of Trustees. You made a big contribution to the school, formed the John and Sue Dean Distinguished Professorship in the business school. Tell me about, from your standpoint, how important community service and support is.
Giving back making a difference in this world. And that can be any job you have. It's how you treat people and how hopefully your overall time being here is a positive one in terms of the effect.
Duane, you're a local boy from Hakalau on the Big Island, recently retired from our board. Tell us about your board experience and maybe the one memory or meeting that stands out in your mind.
I'll talk about two meetings.
One each.
Yeah, one each.
Very good.
It's a compliment about leadership. So I learned something after one meeting. So when times are really difficult, John had this positive demeanor and handled things with actually these new investors and with the regulators. And so after the meeting was over, he went to his office and I said, oh yeah, I gotta talk to John about something. And John was like this. He was like, oh my God. And then when I walked in, I go, oh! Like, no, but what I learned from that is about leadership. By the way, it's one compliment you're getting, and that's it for the rest of the year.
For the year, this is the first one I got in my life.
Find a way to take the risk out of their perceived future, and John did it. I gave you A+ for that. So so even in you were having such a difficult time, but you still kept a real positive
outlook.
Yeah, but in the back, you probably were crying.
Bald.
That's right. By the way, is it shiny? you need to buff yourself. The other one was with Colbert, and this was in a meeting that we had with when the bank and CPB was in this fight. So this guy, where this was a big meeting, and this guy attorney from New York, she was just pounding us, and of course like you said, I'm from Hakalau, so I'm thinking, okay, well, but this guy from Lanai, I gained respect for him. He's how he stands, right? He stands erect. He stood up, and he went after this guy from New York, and he made that guy sit down. I said, okay, I want to be behind Colbert. Okay, can I stand behind him? No, but seriously, those were two very memorable moments for me, among others.
Duane, I know I'm going to embarrass you a little bit, but from such modest beginnings, you're today one of Hawaii's most influential business people. You have an impressive group of companies. You're CEO of the AIO Group. You've got many diverse interests: AIO Media, Hawaii Business Magazine, Hawaii Home and Remodeling, a bake shop. You're minority owner of the San Francisco Giants. You're a successful real estate investor. And I'll stop there because I know I'm getting in trouble with you. But what drove you to establish or acquire such an impressive group of companies, and how do you manage to stay on top of them all?
The purpose of every company has to be about making a contribution to the lives of others. So when you accumulate all these different pieces and you look at what its contribution is in aggregate, they all have different roles to play. And so keeping them together, to me, is easy because actually I don't have to run each one. But because it has its singular purpose about celebrating who we are and making this place a better place to live, not only for us, but our children and our grandchildren.
Yeah. And one of the themes that you guys are on now and publicize and promote is rediscovering Hawaii's soul, which is an awesome statement to me. And every time I hear that, I go, that's terrific, and that's a higher purpose. How did you guys come to that?
So what makes Hawaii special is aloha, and there's a wide range of interpretations of what it is. So we needed to find a word that was deeper, and it makes it introspective for people. It doesn't matter whether they're here in London, Tokyo, or Russia.
Kahuiki Village.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to ask you about that. Public-private partnership.
Yeah.
Built on land, formerly occupied by a paintball operation of all things.
Yeah.
It could be one of the most impressive and visual community accomplishments of you to date. become one of the most successful communities for homeless families and their children in the country. So what drove you to build such a facility, and did you know it would be as successful as it is?
So I think we're all shaped by the way we grew up. And for me, I grew up in a sugar plantation town. And so a lot of the things that the decisions that I make and the projects that I take on all have those values that help drive me. So when there was enough talk and visuals about homelessness, and so one day I said, hey, we got to do something about it. It's about building community for formerly homeless families, and I'll tell you, along the way I could hear people with noise in the back, but I was really clear because it came from here. I was really clear that is a solution. So 144 homes, there's almost 700 adults and children live in this village, and it works because we have a child care center, preschool, a country store, a rec center, a student center, all things that you would have seen in a plantation village. Now, what the physical infrastructure encouraged was this gathering of these formerly homeless families, and actually on their own they created their own tenant association. And so these were formerly homeless people leading the governance of that village, and it's sort of a remarkable
Kind
thing.
of magical.
Yeah, and we could have done this quicker. We did it in 6 months. We could have done it sooner, but we wanted to engage as many different people in building this village. So the homes actually were repurposed homes from Tohoku in Japan, and they're modular. But CPB actually showed up. You guys helped to build some homes, and the idea was that you have more people engaged. I'm sure those who, well, actually not I'm sure, I hear people saying, I built that home, I built that home.
Tremendous sense of pride.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you. Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Thanks for
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'll let you off the hook now.
Okay. Hey, thank goodness I have hair.
Yeah. So Colbert, like Duane, you're from a neighbor island, Lanai, Pineapple Island. Do you bring those hometown values with you today in everything you do? Just curious.
Yeah, no question. I think that my experience growing up Lanai, which at the time was a plantation community with 2,500 people, you pretty much knew everybody in the town, gave me a sense of, truly a sense of what a community is all about how interconnected people are, and how really how people look out for each other and help each other. And so to me, that's something that I thought was representative of Hawaii. I didn't grow up in Honolulu, so I didn't realize that Honolulu was different because it was a lot more urban. But I think that a lot of the fundamental principles are still applicable throughout Hawaii today. And I think that things like what Duane undertook with Kaho'iki Village, it comes from this sense of kuleana with respect to the larger community and the role that we have to play in helping the larger community thrive and be successful. So no, I very much am influenced by that background.
Yeah. You graduated from Lanai High School, got a bachelor's degree from University of San Francisco before receiving your law degree from UC Berkeley. But after passing the bar, you didn't go to work as an attorney right away. You did something interesting. You entered a Zen monastery in Kalihi Valley. Tell us about your experience there and maybe the life lessons.
I heard his head was like his.
Yeah, it actually did look like John's. But yeah, no, I did that for basically 6 months. I lived in and trained at the monastery or the temple. But it was really because I was kind of searching. I was interested in the Japanese martial arts, and I always thought that there was a philosophical foundation for those martial arts. And I'd learned that Zen was that philosophical foundation. So I wanted to learn more about what is Zen, right? What is Zen Buddhism? And so I went to the temple to basically kind of delve into that. But in the process of going through the training, what I really learned was that how I thought and how I looked at things was really shaped by my upbringing, by my education, by society, and that it had imbued me with all kinds of prejudices and biases and preconceived ideas as to things. And so the training helped me see through a lot of that in terms of what is real, what is actually significant in terms of life. And so for me, that was something that was kind of profound in terms of influencing my path since then. And so I think that if there was one lesson that I learned from that, it was not to be as judgmental as I think I was before I went into that training process. And then over the years, it wasn't like I walked out of that program enlightened, but over the years, I think that it gave me the foundation with which to look at the experiences that I had to go through in life with a different perspective and try to learn new things as I encountered different situations, different people. And that's why it's been very fulfilling for me to have had experiences with Duane and with John, because they've taught me a lot over the course of the relationships that I've maintained with them.
Yeah, but the Zen training sounds like it was helpful for you. It was foundational in terms of enabling you to, deal with other things later in your professional life.
No question. I credit that with really laying the foundation for, how my life evolved.
Yeah. Of course, one of those things could have been in 1996 when your professional life changed in a big way, and you were appointed court master for the Bishop Estate. And a significant job. And that role required you to review the finances and structure of a multi-million-dollar trust for Native Hawaiians. There were financial challenges, and in the end, you drafted what amounted to a 120-page report. What was going through your mind, and what emotions did you feel when you were working through all that?
Well, at the time I got appointed, I had just left a law firm that I'd been with for 14 years and had started my own firm. So I was 2 years into my new firm, trying to build our practice up when I took that assignment on. Initially, when I got appointed by the probate court to that role, I thought, okay, it gets publicity, but I should be able to survive it without problem. But then within a year after I was appointed, things kind of blew up at Kamehameha schools. And so I immediately realized that I had signed up for something that has ended up being far beyond what I thought it was going to involve. And early on, as I started to uncover more things about what was happening at the trust, I realized that, wow, this role would require me to potentially report on certain things that might not be so well received by the trustees. And these were the 5 most powerful people in Hawaii because of their control of the estate. So I would say that, I was a little concerned as to what the implications would be for me if I got them upset, and whether or not my budding law firm would end up being blackballed in Honolulu. As I evaluated whether or not I should continue on with the assignment or whether or not I should resign from it and tell the judge that, look, this is way beyond what I had anticipated, I thought about what kinds of aspirations I had when I went to college and how I wanted to have an impact on, positive impact on society. And I reflected on, what I was facing with that assignment and thought to myself that, okay, here you have a chance to make a difference. Are you going to walk away from it, or are you going to stick with it? And so I basically decided that, I got to stick with this. And in a way, I'm glad I did. I had no clarity as to what the final outcome would be, as I navigated down that path. But fortunately, things turned out for the better. I think the Kamehameha Schools is a much better institution today than it was before, and I think that it's accomplished a lot more for the Native Hawaiian population than it was doing at the time.
Yeah. Well, those of us who lived here at the time certainly appreciate the job that you did, because I remember reading about it in the media thinking, that was a difficult job, and you stuck it through, and you were a man of integrity and had a steady hand. So thank you for that. And to your point, the school is much better off today. So in 2010, you left your legal career and became chairman, president, and CEO of Island Holdings. Once there, you led the diversification of the company into investments under the name Tradewind Capital Group. The change was dramatic, and as you pivoted from only being an insurance agency to an investment agency, it's been quite a success. And tell us about that and why the change.
Yeah, actually, it started in 1999 when I left my law practice and joined Island Insurance. And Island Insurance had been a client of mine as a lawyer for many years before that. I had basically worked for Island Insurance as an outside attorney for about 18 years. And so I got to know the company. And I also represented a number of other insurance companies. But Island was a Hawaii-based company. And I saw how they operated, and I could contrast the way that they operated and dealt with claimants and their policyholders with the other insurance companies that I represented. And to me, the kinds of qualities that they were demonstrating in terms of their operations and how they treated people, reflected what I thought was how a local company should operate. But it was also at a time when I saw a lot of local companies fading from the scene, either shutting down or being acquired by mainland companies, and as they were being transformed, it changed how these businesses operated. And I thought that Hawaii was losing something if it lost this business base with local leadership. That was familiar with just how we do business local style. And so the company at that time was struggling because they didn't have a succession plan. They had lost a lot of business. They had not kept up with technological changes. And so I agreed to step into the role of the leader for the company because I wanted to see it survive. I wanted to see it continue as the kind of company that it was when I was representing it as outside counsel. So I decided to take on that challenge. And after I did, I quickly realized that, staying in insurance wasn't going to be enough because it was a mature industry. There wasn't a lot of opportunities for growth. And our competition were, huge companies, some multinational and with tremendous more capacity. And so, but yet Island Insurance was a very successful company that had built up a lot of capital. And so I basically asked the board to allow me to redeploy their capital into making other investments, but other investments that would be focused on investing in Hawaii, not in necessarily going wherever we could get the best return, but investing in other businesses and in assets in Hawaii that could basically help strengthen our local economy.
Yeah. Well, one more summary question for the three of you. If you were a prognosticator of the future, where do you see Hawaii 50 years from now? Primary industries, our population, will the rail project be finished? Kidding. What would our quality of life be, and will we still be the Aloha State?
I think it's very challenging for Hawaii. We're dominated by two industries, the armed forces, which are critical to the state, but that probably need to be more receptive to things they've done in the past and what they need to do going forward. The other is tourism. For 20 years I've been hearing of diversification. I don't think that's possible, but I think that the people of Hawaii have to repurpose tourism and maybe discovering Hawaii's soul
Duane, how about you? Where do you see us 50 years from now?
Like John, I think things are tough, but I see a Hawaii for our children and grandchildren where they're all flourishing. And unless we stand for that, we might as well just fold up our tents and go. And I think what's going to take us there is to celebrate who we are, to be authentic to who we are. Because, well, for me, anyway, traveling to wherever I travel in different parts of the world, we have something really special going for us. We have evolved hearts. Part of what makes us special is if you ask just about anybody in Hawaii where's home, they'll say Hawaii. We're grounded, and we have something that everybody wants. So I'm just making this up now. So in the future, we talk about AI, and I'm on the board someplace. I'm not going to say where else, and they're thinking about where should it be housed, and they were saying, well, we should be housed in IT. I said no, it should be housed in human resources, because to me, the success of AI globally should be coming from here. And if it comes from here, we're number one by far in the world in leading that process. So who's going to be number one in AI? I say Hawaii.
I think, John, we have a very challenging future if we don't really start to get more active in terms of trying to address the threats that we potentially face down the line. And so, to me, one of the key things regarding that is that I think more people in the business community need to step up in terms of providing community leadership. I think, for too long, people in the business community have kind of held their nose to, what they see as, government and politics, and have stayed on the sidelines. And that's really been problematic because it's handicapped policymakers in terms of decision making. And so, if they don't have the engagement of the business leadership in our community, they're not going to make really good business decisions. And government decisions are largely fiscal. And if you don't have people that have a business perspective helping you evaluate those decisions, you're just going to continue to dig a deeper hole for our community at large.
Yeah. Gentlemen, this has been outstanding. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you so much for your service to CPB, but most importantly, your service to the community in Hawaii. We sincerely appreciate it. Okay, thanks. This has been another edition of CPB Community Chat. Mahalo.